Hello and welcome to the Down Under Visa Philippines to Australia podcast series. I'm your host, Jeff Harvie, registered migration agent with Down Under Visa, the premier Australian migration agent in Manila, Philippines, specialising in visas for Australian Filipina couples. We hope you enjoy this podcast and hope it proves useful to you. Please feel free to share this with your partner and with any of your interested friends. Let's get started. Australian visa processing time and the big dusty pile. How long will my visa application take? Now, visa processing time. How long will my visa take to process? How long is a piece of string? Look, it's a common question from clients, especially with longer processing time visas like partner visas. Obviously you want to know because you want to be together. Now, our own partner visa, which was a prospective marriage visa application many years ago, look, that only took 2 months to be processed. It was a long time ago. Yet it was still stressful, and it was a huge sigh of relief when it actually happened. But the issue is that Australian visa applications do not have set processing time. We cannot give you an estimate that's worth very much at all. We have no insights and... Okay, there are children making noises in the background, but I'm just going to continue, so because that's life. What am I saying? Yes, we have no insights. And comparing with other applications that were lodged the same week, now that tells us nothing. People, when they get desperate, that's a common question they ask. They say, other applications that were lodged at the same time as ours, were any of those processed by now? But it just doesn't work like that, because they do not process visa applications in the order in which they were received. So let's start this article with a painfully honest statement that we cannot tell you how long an Australian visa application will take to process. And you know what? If we could, we would. If we had some way of accessing this, if we could give you an update, I mean, my goodness, we would have that on our migration hub where you could log in and you could go, wow, look at that, I've got 3 weeks to go. Would be fantastic, but I mean, we can't get that. Never have been able to, and we never will. They're not that. They're just really not set up for that, basically. So, won't happen. And getting annoyed with us and telling us how hard it is. This won't change a thing. You're not the first or last client who is worried and in a hurry because he misses his Filipino sweetheart. It's everyone. I can't imagine a client saying to us, "No rush, mate. Anytime. I'm happy on my own." It doesn't match any of the clients that we've known over the years. And you have to realise that going to the department and saying, look, you must tell us what's going on, or you must make this go faster because, John and Mary Jane there, they really, really miss each other. Well, guess what? Every single partner visa client is in exactly the same boat. Same thing happens with tourist visas. Everybody's anxious, everybody's in a hurry, and you're no different. Sorry to say. So, visa timelines. The global visa processing times. This is my pet hate, this area. So what is this? This is a departmental estimate of visa processing time. It's been around for as long as I've known, and it's meant to show how long visas are generally taken to be processed throughout the world. And once upon a time, I can remember it actually seemed to mean something. But anyway, I will continue. Current visa processing time at this particular time. I wrote this article in February 2019, so I'm going from this. Says that a subclass 300 prospective marriage visa should take between 12 and 17 months, and a subclass 309 offshore partner visa between 14 months and 19 months. 820 onshore partner visas, 20 to 26 months. And yes, clients, read these figures on the visa timelines, and they get back to us in a panic. Honestly, I don't know where these timelines come from. I'd like to believe they're actual figures taken from average visa processing times throughout the world. In example, figures from Manila and Bangkok, figures from Pretoria, London, Dubai, Berlin, maybe across all of these different offices in different countries. The end result all makes sense. But as for working out how long a subclass 300 fiancé visa lodged in Manila will take, it is fairly dubious value, I would suggest, because it sure as heck ain't even close to our experience. And no, we don't get special favours because they like my handsome face, stunning though it may be. Our applications go into the same queue as everyone else's. There's no corruption there. There's no favouritism there. Honestly, I've had no questionable or dodgy stories from Manila ever. We've been dealing with them for a very long time, and we put through a monster amount of applications through. So as I say, that doesn't match our figures. Now the real downside, it means if you feel your fiancé visa is taking too long after 15 months, they can turn around and say it's still within the global visa processing times, and there's not a thing you can say about it. In truth, we've particularly found the Manila staff tend not to say this, and if it really is taking longer than usual, they will often look into it. The onshore Department of Home Affairs officers, they are less approachable. We don't even know their full names. Sometimes the documents we get say, officer number 1234. We don't even know who we're dealing with. But yes, and they will often just not reply at all to polite and reasonable follow-ups. And there's not a single thing that we can do about it either. Just the way it works. So how does Down Under Visa get average visa processing times? Because people question us on this, obviously, especially if they look up the official figures and they seem to differ drastically to ours. And yes, our visa timeline figures do differ from the global times. They differ quite considerably, and yes, we're often questioned about this when clients get hold of the global visa processing time reports and see the differences. So how do we derive our figures? Well, basically we get them from facts. We get them from experience. We put through hundreds of partner visa applications. We put through even hundreds more of tourist visa applications that we don't. If we put through 3 applications a year, well, obviously our figures wouldn't mean very much. But we do put in certainly our fair share. Me actually, I go over the visa grants for that particular subclass. Examples 300s or 309s, and I'll list down how long each one took from the application date to the grant date, and I go back 12 months. Then I'll divide these figures up, and I divide by the number of visas. Example, 9 months, 4 months, 5 months, 8 months, 5 months, 6 months, 5.5 months, 7 months, total 56.5, divided by 9 of these imaginary visa grants, and we get to 6.27. So in which case we would say 6.27 months is the average visa processing time of this particular pretend visa that I'm talking about right now over the last 12 months. Then we tell people with a warning that this is an average, but a broad average. There's a big difference between 9 months and 4 months, right? So it is just an average, because honestly, this is what we experience. And there's often not a lot of logic about it, and it has nothing to do with when things were lodged. And despite anything you may hear, we could put in 2 visa applications this month. We could one of those could be both say subclass 300s. One of them could be a really, really, really good one, a really simple one, a really clear one with lots and lots and lots of information, lots of evidence, etc., and not a lot of complications. The other one, lacking in evidence and full of complexities and complications and things which you would think, my goodness, they're going to have to go through this one with a fine-tooth comb. And we can find that the complicated one gets granted after 4 months and the simple one takes 11 months. This sort of thing happens. So unfortunately, again, there is no logic to it. So, yeah, that's what we tell people. We make it very, very clear. We're not saying this is the maximum time, because there is no maximum processing time. Doesn't work like that. Okay? Now, we're quoting a 6-month visa processing time for subclass 300s and subclass 309s from Manila. And again, I warn people that this is a broad average. Onshore subclass 820 partner visas, 12 months is the average for our clients. And these are these are averages derived from actual visa grants for down under visa clients for visa applications lodged in Manila for the offshore applications and in Australia for the onshore applications. Now, I have no idea how this compares to something lodged in Moscow or Cairo, but that's of no concern to our clientele because we only deal with Australian Filipina couples. So, does this mean you should nag us at 6 months? No. Please don't. Again, it's an average. It's not a maximum. It could be really quick, it could be really slow. An average is an average. It is not a promise, so please don't try and tell us it's late because it's now 6 months and 3 days. And as I said before, even if you say, well, I'm going to go and see our local member and complain about this, well, the local member is going to send his cranky letter in, and they're going to say, oh, look, it's within the global average processing time, and therefore there's nothing wrong, and that's what's going to come back. So that's the way the system works. Visa application is taking too long. Again, we do understand the frustration with visa processing time. If you had met your lady at the local dance in the local town, like our parents used to, well, that's what mine did anyway. Yeah, seriously, my mum used to chuff off to the local town hall or whatever it was, and for the dances on Saturday night, and the boys would sit on one side and the girls on the other, etc. But I mean, that was how things used to work once upon a time. If only life were that simple now. But yeah, you could marry and you could move in together and you'd have nothing stopping you. But you went and met somebody overseas now, didn't you? And the Australian Constitution gives the federal government the power and the duty to decide who comes in and who doesn't. Now, you would like her in Australia with you right now, of course. Yeah, but she needs a visa. That means you need to wait for it to be processed. Now, why does it take time? Well, because there are a lot of applications and a limited number of staff to process them all. And there is a lot of detail in each application to be gone over at the same time. Also, some applications require further investigation. Some of them are complicated and result in what they call requests for information, which we get sent to us on a regular basis. If they have concerns or doubts about an aspect of the visa application, they issue an RFI, request for information, that says, we want more proof of something, and they'll issue a time limit. Some applications are seriously lacking in information, questions answered poorly, questions left blank, and a general lack of relationship evidence. We do our best to try to put in the best that we possibly can. And you will all know, clients of ours, you will know, that we push you and we push you hard. We're not yes men, we don't go easy on you. If what you have sent us is lacking, we will tell you. Some will get back to us and say they're very angry, they're very annoyed, why is this, why is that, surely they can see, why are they asking this is unreasonable, etc., etc. And some clients, I'm just going to tell this child to be quiet, excuse me. Okay, that's a little bit quieter. Yeah, sometimes it's like that, and with some applicants, you know who you are. Yeah, sometimes we battle with you throughout the whole thing, but we don't ease up. We don't. We have a job to do, and we have to take the rough with the smooth. However, we would prefer if you would cooperate with us, because we're not doing this for our health. We're not doing this for our entertainment or to brighten a dull day. We're trying to help you. We want you to get your visa granted. Simple as that. But yeah, sometimes you can't get blood from a stone, and we end up with applications that are a bit light on. So they're the ones which are going to more likely to get the request for information. And sometimes, yeah, they just go through things with a fine-tooth comb anyway. Anyway, and of course, look, false statements and bogus documents. Yeah, they're on there. They're always looking out for those. And when it comes to suspicions of something being genuine, they go all out when they need to. And we've had them contacting churches to see if a baptismal certificate was genuine. We actually had somebody refused based on that, because they actually had the cheek to lodge a dodgy baptismal certificate, which was there as... But that's something which comes up from time to time, although fairly often, when somebody has a late registered birth certificate and they're wanting something to back up their identity, and baptismal certificates in this country are seen as just that. We've had them calling up exes to see if they really gave permission for a child to migrate. There's a form, Form 1229, which if your lady has kids and there's a biological father who still has rights over them, needs to sign that form to give permission for the child to migrate. We've had people think, I'll just go and sign it myself, and I'll put that in and surely everything will be fine. Well, then they go and chase up the ex, give them a call, and he says, I never gave my permission. Well, not a good thing. We've had them requesting document searches in the NSO, which is National Statistics Office, which is now known as the Philippine Statistics Authority, and finding out about existing marriages, extra children falsely registered as siblings. I often imagine the shock to the visa applicant when they get caught out, and even worse to the sponsor when he discovers his fiancée still has a husband. So yes, all of this nonsense takes time and will put pressure on staff hours in an embassy, and also, I can tell you what, it puts pressure on us too, but again, we take the rough with the smooth. And obviously that is going to lead to further visa processing delays. Now, next one, the big dusty pile. Yeah, that's a term somebody told me years ago, and I like using it because it seems to sum up the whole thing. Yes, it takes time to process a visa application, but are they slaving and sweating over your pile of documents for 7 or 8 months, reading and rereading your Viber messages to each other and staring at your photos with a magnifying glass? No, definitely not. So I explained before, some applications require RFIs, requests for information, which take extra time, and some require further investigation when there is suspected fraud, identity uncertainties, and any possible risks to children. And if you have more applications coming in than there are staff resources to handle that flow of applications, hence you will get a build-up of applications. Hence the big dusty pile. Now these days with electronic lodgement, clearly there is no pile of physical applications in the middle of the room. Once upon a time, well, yeah, maybe there was. What actually goes on inside the embassy or department offices is a bit like Colonel Sanders' secret recipe. We will never know. But I've long referred to this pile as a way to demonstrate to clients that most of the application time is actually taken up by absolutely nothing happening. If they say triple the staff, well, maybe most would be processed in a month, but that doesn't seem like anything that will happen soon. Okay. The case officer allocated myth. Due to the murmurings on the Facebook groups, many an applicant or prospective applicant is under the impression that there is a step in the process by which a case officer has been allocated, and we're often asked, have I had a case officer allocated yet? Firstly, at no time have I ever been told, hi, I'm Jenny and I'll be your case officer. Never happened. And secondly, from what I understand, from having several case officers at several times requesting information about the one client, it appears more of a group effort these days, and even in those days when we knew that Jenny was taking care of Maribel's application, it never meant I could email Jenny and ask her how much longer, or if they can give it a bit of a shuffle ahead in the queue. Requests like that are met with a very bland template response that explains absolutely nothing helpful. It will be granted when it's granted, and follow-ups, especially within real normal processing time, only gives embassy staff more work to do in responding. In other words, they're going to get annoyed. The next issue is your case worthy to be prioritised? Now, I really hope at this point that no one thinks I'm sounding uncaring or dismissive. Maybe you clicked on this thinking I would tell you how to speed it all up, and all you see is a series of no's. Now, I'm just being honest. I really do care. You have no idea to the extent that I care, and we all care. When something's going wrong, when something's dragging out, my goodness, we feel very sorry for you. We can feel it. Look, I'm married to a Filipina. I know what it was like being apart. Jeremy, our office manager, and my son, he's married to a Filipina. He was fortunate that, when he met her, she lived 30 kilometres away here, so he's never had to be alone, but he could certainly well imagine what it would feel like, and he sees what clients go through. So we absolutely do care. Now, I know what it's like to feel alone. I know how it was even just having to wait for 2 months. It was lonely and it was scary. It was the fear of, what if they refuse it? What if they said no? Then what? What do you do then? It worried me, and that was only over 2 months. As I said, I was very fortunate, and you guys, some of you having to wait very long lengths of time, we understand and we do sympathise. A question here again, though, is can your case be prioritised? Do you have grounds? Now, in my early years as a registered migration agent, I had asked them to give priority to pregnant applicants, and they never even responded. Over time, I observed that pregnancy is hardly an exceptional circumstance amongst couples in love. It seems to be remarkably common. Love often leads to babies. I knew this obviously, but my goodness, our clients are a fertile lot. Babies popping out everywhere. And by the way, Jeff is a wonderful name for babies. Even girl babies. It could be understood. So seriously, why would they shuffle someone up the line because they were pregnant when the line already resembled a baby factory?